Bruh, I can't even imagine life without gaming.
Yeah, bro. I wonder who had the radical idea to make those up. I'm gonna go get some more G Fuel.
You good, bro?
Hello, and welcome to William Higginbotham's Time Travel Extravaganza. My name is William Higginbotham, inventor of the first video game.
No way. Wow.
Please hold all applause till the end, but feel free to ask questions. While working at Brookhaven National Laboratory, I had an idea for an interactive electronic game after seeing how lackluster many of the science exhibits at the time were. They were boring and uninteractive, so I thought it might liven up the place to have a game that people could play. I invented Tennis for Two, paving the way for generations of video games.
I thought that Alan Turing and some colleagues made a computer program that would play chess in 1948. Wouldn't that be the first video game?
Excellent question. There were actually many things that came before. Turing's program, TurboChamp, wasn't ever completed by Alan Turing. It was later pieced together in 2012, but still not the first. Some people consider the cathode ray tube amusement device to be the first. It is very similar to what we know today, a game displayed on a screen. However, there was no programming behind it, so it is very up to debate as to if it is the first video game or not.
What year is it?
1975. Here, we see the geek in his natural habitat, an arcade. Ted Dabney, known for creating the first arcade cabinet, is seen playing his game, Computer Space.
Oh, dang it. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you guys there. William, are you doing another time travel adventure?
I sure am. Would you like to explain what you've got going on here?
Sure. Hello all, my name is Ted Dabney, inventor of the first video game cabinet.
Whoa, nifty.
Nifty sure is correct. I led the way for more arcade games to become popular, such as some of the greats like Pong, Pac-Man, and many more. I co-founded the game company Atari with my friend Nolan Bushnell. The idea behind my Computer Space cabinet's video circuitry was used for Pong, which was wildly more successful than Computer Space was. Although my co-workers Bushnell and Alcorn were profiting off the success of Pong much more than I, Bushnell patented my video circuitry without putting my name anywhere on it. I was put in a lower level at Atari, so I wasn't allowed in any of the big meetings. So, I left the computer company about 2 years ago in March. Although I sold my portion of the company for a sweet $250,000. So at least there's that.
Wow. And all that, even though you paved the way for basically the whole industry to set off?
And you helped to create Atari, one of the most influential gaming companies of all time?
Wait, what?
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We might not want to spoil the future for anyone.
Got it. Our bad.
Well, the arcade era lasted quite a while. Eventually, the love of video games pushed the technology to the living rooms of the consumer. This was started by Ralph Baer's Magnavox Odyssey, the first home video game console to be released.
Sorry, Will, I got your call, but I was too busy playing table tennis for my Magnavox Odyssey at home.
This whole conversation is so dated it's making my head hurt.
Yeah, I want to go back to the good old days of the SNES and the Genesis.
Before we can talk about those, shouldn't we talk about their predecessors?
You mean Nintendo's entertainment system? I don't think anything came before the Sega Genesis.
Well, I think you'll be surprised to know that each of those had something that came before. Sega actually had some good experience before the Genesis, as did Nintendo before the Super NES. But we can't talk about any of this before we talk about the video game market crash. Let's head a bit forward to 1986. We have arrived in 1986, almost 10 years after the release of the Atari 2600.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Atari 2600. Atari released their first home console in 1977, and it was a cartridge-based, the first of its kind.
Not true. The Magnavox Odyssey only used cartridges, but not ROM-based. The first to use programmed cartridges was the Fairchild Channel F.
Great observation. Even though relatively unknown, the Fairchild was very innovative for its time.
Neato.
Absolutely correct.
These first games were seen as an incredible advance in technology, but by 1983 these games had severely declined in quality, and consumers were fed up with game after game, being worse than the one that came before it.
Who are you?
My name is Howard Scott Warshaw, and I single-handedly caused the video game market crash of 1983.
Well, that's a bit of an overstatement.
I suppose there were a lot of other things at the time that led to the crash.
And that is a bit of an understatement. What really happened was that Atari didn't have a licensing system for games released on the console. So, copious amounts of poorly produced games began flooding the market later in the system's life, with the most notorious of these being E.T.
That is correct. Atari highly overestimated the sales of mini games and systems, and had to dump hundreds of thousands of copies of games in a landfill in New Mexico.
Were other companies suffering just as much as Atari?
Other companies were the problem. There were firstly over 900 consoles in first-generation consoles. Every electronics company ever wanted their hand in the market and decided to make their own versions of Pong. After that, when cartridge-based consoles were becoming the next big breakthrough, there were still about a dozen consoles, each playing different games.
So a combination of oversaturation in the market, combined with the decrease in quality in games, caused the market crash?
Absolutely correct. Video games appeared to be on their way out, a trend meant to die like the rest, until a big company came in to save everything.
Here's where Nintendo comes in, right?
Yes! While they had already taken a dip into the video game market, it wasn't until 1983, the same year the market crashed, in which Nintendo released their first cartridge-based console. Nintendo released the Family Computer, or Famicom, in Japan. The market crash did not affect Japanese companies as much as it affected American companies, such as Atari. Due to a good marketing campaign, Nintendo was able to convince consumers that the NES was a toy rather than a video game. They did this by including toy guns and a small toy robot into one of the most popular console bundles. This made people believe that they were buying a regular toy and not a video game station, which were highly disliked at the time.
Okay, why did they want to convince consumers that it was a toy anyway?
I think I know. People had dissent towards video games at the time, and Nintendo marketed it as just another video game. People would think of it as just as low quality as the other consoles that came before it.
Wait, we never covered Sega. What was going on with them at the time?
Sega had dabbled in the video game market with a couple arcade games, but their first console was released the same day as the Famicom. The Famicom was marketed better, so people don't often remember this console. This was known as the SG-1000. It had so many revisions that the third revision was basically the same as the fourth and more popular endeavor known as the Sega Master System. The Master System never reached the same prestige as the Nintendo Entertainment System, but that all changed with the third console, the Sega Genesis. This sparked a war between Nintendo and Sega, which divided fans of video games at the time. Although I think we should take a look at the more influential people in the war. Welcome to 1993, in the heat of the Sega versus Nintendo console war. I'd like to introduce my friend Tom Kalinske, the CEO of Sega of America. His masterful marketing shot up sales in the United States, propelling the Sega Genesis in the war against the Super Nintendo.
Hi all, I'm the current CEO of Sega of America, Tom Kalinske. I may not be experienced in the ways of video games, but I am a huge proponent of the razor and blades model of marketing. I believe that if you sell one product, in this case the Genesis, at a low affordable price, it allows more people to gain access to the gaming industry, while also almost guaranteeing more game purchases for us.
No way! I remember watching those ad campaigns when I was a kid. That was back when Sega and Nintendo were still competing for the first place in the market.
Wait, what do you mean by still competing? Did someone win?
Hey, no changing the past. Also, how old are you two anyways?
I'm 29. He's 30.
Wow, you two look like you're 15 or 16. Anyways, I have another special guest here, Shigeru Miyamoto.
Holy cannoli, are you okay, Jebediah? Dude, you gotta stop with that.
What am I supposed to do? This is the man responsible for the creation of the likes of Zelda and Super Mario Brothers.
Lame. I'm all about Sonic the Hedgehog and Alex Kidd.
Glad to know that you're enjoying my games. I actually started out as a small-time employee in the company after being hired by the president himself. And then, I started making artwork for some of the games, and eventually I was promoted to designing the games themselves, and now I'm known for making some of the most popular games in the era.
Why don't each of you tell us about the ongoing console war?
Sure thing. Right now it's in the 1990s. We are pushing a heavy campaign shooting down Nintendo's own Super NES and praising our own Sega Genesis.
Yep, Nintendo's Super Mario is duking it out with Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog. I wonder who'll come out on top.
Well, I have an idea. Let's ask our two fans.
Sonic, obviously.
Shut up! ちょっと待ってね。Miyamoto-sama, 指先はどうですか?
Right, we also need extensive knowledge of Japanese, French, and English to be able to speak to our coworkers in other countries. For example, I speak French. Je parle bon français. Je parle français avec mon bon ami.
So in order to accommodate the recent increase of Chinese bootlegging, I have decided to learn a small amount of Chinese in order to take them to court to stop them from stealing more of our games. For reference, bootlegging is basically just stealing the code and making it look a little bit different and selling it as a different game. So say for instance, 我不喜欢你因为你偷, or I don't like you because you steal.
Why don't we move on to our next guest, John Carmack.
I'm John Carmack, and I'm working with my team to create a game in the new first-person shooter genre. I know that computer gaming has kind of hit a lull with console sales taking over and computer games becoming background noise, but it's not that big of a deal. Computers have really come a long way. Did you know the first computer was 1,800 square feet? That's pretty crazy, right? And now, what? You can put it on a desk. Makes me wonder what our next step in our computer revolution will be. My new game, Doom, it's going to revolutionize computer gaming forever. It's because there's a new game engine designed by yours truly. Because normally, right now, we can only have flat floors and 90-degree walls. But thanks to this new game engine, we'll have sloped floors and angled walls, giving us more texture and maneuverability to build our game. The best part is, I don't even need to make a console or a disc to distribute my game. I'm going to have people download it online so that I don't need to do anything, and that the people will distribute it to themselves on their own. It'll be pretty great.
That sounds like Steam.
Oh, here come our next guest.
Oh, are the nerds fighting over 16 bits again?
Again, be nice. We both know Sega's losing its edge.
Sorry, Bill.
No way. Bill Gates?
And Ken Kutaragi?
I never thought we'd get to meet the creators of Xbox and PlayStation.
Well, they kind of owe the existence of video games to Nintendo, so they drop by occasionally.
I heard you guys are in Higginbotham's most recent time travel group. Nice to meet you. I'm Ken Kutaragi, as you seem to already know. Well, PlayStation began as a console revision to the Super Nintendo with a disk drive to allow for a wider library of games with more assets, because discs can hold more data than the standard cartridges. However, the project fell through because of the failure of the Sega CD. Nintendo wanted nothing to do with it. However, the project was so far in, us at Sony decided to release it as our own console, which started one of our more profitable business ventures.
Yeah, you guys already made 4 consoles and 2 handhelds? With 3 of them coming out on the best-selling consoles list.
We did some cool stuff too, starting with the Xbox in 2001. We started the third pillar of the modern console trifecta. We may not sell as many units as Sony's PlayStation, but we have a dedicated fan base that looks forward to every release.
Yeah, you're telling Bill.
Looks like we gotta get back to work, Bill.
You're right. Sorry to leave so soon.
Wait, Ken, is it really true that you learned Spanish to talk to other developers?
Sí, yo necesito hablar español para comunicar con los desarrolladores españoles como los beat managers.
Wait a second, I think we have one more person here than we started with.
Hey, that'd be me, but you guys care to explain what's going on over here? I heard weird noises coming from inside your house. You guys okay? You guys want to explain anything?
Huh? Oh, no worries. Just some time travel that broke into our apartment and is teaching us about video games. You know, Fridays.
Oh, cool. You guys are talking about video games? My favorite kind is PC gaming. Did you know 1.2 billion people play on PC, while only about 600 million will play on consoles? It's crazy.
Wait, but consoles have always been so much better. What's different?
The problem with consoles is that they just don't change. Computers have evolved over time to fit the need for more processing power and memory, but consoles kind of haven't. They've stagnated. They don't have many games, their processing power isn't as good, and when it comes down to it, computers are just good for more things and more versatile. You can use computers for research or communicating with friends. You might even be able to use it for a school project.
Yeah, right.
Computers are still infinitely customizable due to programs that you can install that will change your experience on your computer. Likewise, the games that you install often have customizable controls. On consoles, only a select few people can actually design games that can be played on said console. But on the computer, anyone can design a game. It can be a big company, it can be a developer, it can be one person, it can be an amateur. It doesn't matter. All you need to do is just make the game and you can post it on Steam or just put it on the internet and hope that someone finds it. Computers are they're just too good. Consoles can't beat them right now because computers have power, like they have the processing power, they've got versatility, you can do what you want, like when you want to do it. And then they just have so many options. You can choose what game you want, you can choose what operating system, you can choose what browser. You have all the options when you use a computer.
Huh. I guess computers just had the leg up.
I suppose so.
Hi, I'm Gabe Newell. I own Valve, the creator of the PC publisher Steam, and the game developer of several well-known franchises like Portal and Half-Life. But let's talk about PC gaming a little bit more. Many people come to Steam because it allows for games to run better due to better specs on PC over consoles, but others come for the diversity. Steam allows for smaller developers to have a place to publish their projects without having to hit jackpot and have a big company publish their games. While a smaller game will usually have a smaller budget, they're also able to put much more heart into a game.
I know about these. These are called indie games, with indie being short for independence. There have been many breakout successes over the years from small developers like Undertale and Hollow Knight. Some people much prefer these games, as it's clear that more passion went into their creation. Some of these games were even popular enough to show them on home consoles.
Right you are. Well, one of the big ones in the development of physics engines, the first ever physics engine that was in a game, was Tennis for Two, in which the ball would bounce. It's not much, but it's something. Since then, physics engines have improved dramatically. Objects are now more interactive, and characters are able to walk and run. It's astounding how these engines have evolved.
Alright, I think that's enough for our tour. Let's head back to current day. Thank you all so much for attending my tour.
You broke into our apartment.
Yeah, well, just please leave a good review on Yelp. I wish you all a good night. Goodbye.
What an adventure. I wonder what video games are like today.
You idiot. We live in today. Downloading games has become much more streamlined. For years and years, you had to buy discs and cartridges just to be able to play your games. But nowadays, you can just download them straight to your PCs and consoles. Makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and streaming games is becoming a new thing too. Steam Link, Xbox Game Streaming, PlayStation Remote Play, and Google Stadia allow you to play your home console games on the go.
But don't forget about the Nintendo Switch, the hybrid that allows you to pick up your AAA titles and take them on the go with you.
PC gaming has taken over quite a bit too. While consoles had a tight grip on the market for years, PCs had a revival in the last decade or so.
Steam has played a major role in that. With the publication of all sorts of games and the much larger availability, there's no reason to question its popularity. Other companies have even started publishing these kinds of games, like Epic Games, Twitch, and Discord.
Yeah, even though Stadia flopped, gaming seems to be going the way of streaming, like PS4's Remote Play and Steam Link.
Yeah,